stop for a breath and let honesty lead. There is someone your mind keeps filing away while your heart keeps retrieving the file. You tried to call it closure, you rehearsed the script of moving on, you stacked reasons like bricks. Yet when their name rises without permission, your chest tightens with a pressure that logic cannot soothe. This is not obsession dressing itself as faith, nor nostalgia looking for an excuse. It is spiritual recognition. Heaven has not stamped the word finished over a story God never called over. While you have been waking each morning trying to convince yourself it's done, God has been in the details, working like a master builder at night, softening what was hard, unraveling what was knotted, aligning what seemed impossible to move. The distance you labeled permanent was a hallway, not a wall. And what you thought was an ending was a pause placed there to make room for growth neither of you could borrow from the other. Look closely at the secret ways this has surfaced. A scent that drifts from a passerby and suddenly you are back in a room you once shared with laughter. A song that arrives in an ordinary place and hits you like a key turning in a lock. A dream so vivid you wake with the feeling of their presence lingering on your skin. You tell yourself it's random, but the piece that follows is not random. It is the signature of God's timing brushing against your timeline. The ache you carry is not a sign that you're weak. It is proof that your spirit refuses to lie. God is not toying with you. He is restoring you, reteaching your heart how to love without fear, and training your wisdom to stand guard without becoming stone. Separation was not a sentence. It was a syllabus. It exposed the places where pride shouted too loudly, where wounds hid beneath competence, where impatience disguised itself as courage. Heaven did not pull you apart to punish you, but to prepare you so that what returns is not a fragile version of what broke, but a covenant strong enough to serve generations. Hear the warning in mercy's voice. Do not surrender your post at the threshold. The pressure feels worst when dawn is near. This is when the mind will offer tidy exits and call them wisdom. When old disappointments will reappear wearing newer clothes. When fear will whisper that silence equals absence and waiting equals waste. Yet if you pause beneath the noise, a different current speaks. It carries a steady assurance that arrives without fanfare. Something is moving. That assurance is not a trick of longing. It is the Holy Spirit's way of telling you that what God joined in spirit is being prepared to stand in the natural. He has been working on both sides, teaching you to love without losing yourself, and teaching them to value what is rare, dismantling defenses that once felt like safety, and healing injuries that turned tenderness into risk. You are not the only one who wakes with a name on your tongue, who drafts messages and deletes them, who compares new faces to a memory that refuses to fade. Heaven is amplifying the truth in both hearts until excuses cannot drown it and pride cannot carry it. What looked like delay was design. What felt like silence was strategy. So let today be the first day you stop fighting your own knowing. You do not need to dramatize hope or chase signs through every corridor. You need to become the kind of person who can receive what you asked God to restore. That looks like prayer that cooperates instead of controls, like speech that blesses instead of bleeds, like boundaries that honor purpose rather than punish history. It looks like forgiving without forgetting the lesson, like believing without bargaining, like standing still when panic begs you to perform. When the appointed hour arrives, there will be flow where there used to be friction and peace where there used to be proof. Until then, your task is not to force an outcome. It is to keep your lamp lit. If your heart is burning while your breath grows calm, take that as your confirmation. The reunion is closer than you think, and the God who authored this story has not misplaced his pen. From here, we begin to read the language of heaven with clean eyes. We will name the subtle confirmations that appear when a reunion has already started in the unseen, and we will learn how to welcome them without self-deception. The next step is clarity, how God confirms a reunion in motion and how you can stand in that confirmation with dignity. There are moments when the divine doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't announce itself through thunder, but through patterns that only the awakened heart can recognize. When God is preparing two souls for reunion, the signs begin as quiet ripples in your reality. They don't demand attention, they beckon it. Perhaps you felt an unexpected calm in the middle of confusion, or caught yourself smiling for no reason when that person crosses your mind. That's not delusion, it's alignment. Heaven never works in chaos. Its rhythm is peace. And when the reunion is near, peace starts to appear in places where pain used to live. Have you noticed how their name still appears when you least expect it? A stranger mentions it, a notification slips through, or a song from years ago suddenly plays at the perfect moment. Each of these is a divine breadcrumb, a reminder that God's hand is still on this connection. The human mind rushes to label such moments as coincidence, but the Spirit knows better. It recognizes the architecture of grace. Even dreams shift. They stop being random echoes of memory and become rehearsals for what's coming. The dream realm is often where the spirit rehearses what the heart will soon experience in the flesh. That's why sometimes you wake with tears or laughter, or with the feeling that they were just there. Because on some level, they were. You see, God's confirmation isn't always a booming yes. It's the way your spirit rests when you hear His voice in stillness. It's the way Scripture seems to read you instead of you reading it. It's that verse about restoration appearing repeatedly when you weren't even searching for it. When the reunion is written by heaven, every fragment of your world begins to echo that truth. Even the delays serve the message. The peace you feel amid the waiting isn't a sign to stop. It's a sign to stay positioned. Because divine timing is not measured in minutes but in maturity. So how do you discern between imagination and inspiration? One simple truth: what comes from God carries order. It doesn't consume you with panic or obsession. It anchors you with quiet strength. It doesn't demand you to chase. It invites you to trust. You'll feel pulled but never pressured. When the confirmation is real, it brings balance. Your body relaxes, your mind stills, and your faith expands. The signs are not random, chosen one. They are coordinates, and as you follow them with wisdom, you'll notice they don't just point toward another person. They point toward a refined version of you. The very act of recognizing these divine alignments means you are awakening to the language of heaven. So be attentive, not anxious. Let the signs speak in their own time. God's handwriting is often invisible until the light hits it just right, and that light is starting to shine now. In the next chapter, we will uncover the deeper reason why God allowed this separation in the first place, not as punishment, but as preparation. Because only when the vessel is ready can the promise be safely poured. There is a reason heaven sometimes closes doors that your heart keeps trying to reopen. Separation is not always rejection. Often it is redirection. God does not break what He intends to bless. He dismantles it so He can rebuild it correctly. What you saw as the end of something beautiful was the beginning of its purification. When the connection first fell apart, you may have asked, why now? Why this way? Why would God allow so much silence between us? But time has a way of revealing what tears could not. There were lessons that love could not teach until distance became the classroom. Every divine union must endure a sacred pause. It's the period where God refines both hearts separately, burning away the pride, fear, and spiritual immaturity that would destroy what He intends to preserve. Think of Joseph, betrayed, forgotten, imprisoned, before his reunion with the very brothers who once sold him. The separation wasn't cruelty, it was divine choreography. Each lonely night was shaping his heart for compassion, preparing him to stand in forgiveness rather than revenge. Likewise, what felt like loss in your story has been training. The pain was not wasted. It was sculpting you into someone capable of loving without attachment and waiting without despair. God never wastes a season of silence. Every unanswered prayer, every lonely morning, every tear shed on the pillow has been part of the preparation. Because when the reunion happens, it cannot be built on emotional dependency or fear of being alone. It must be founded on spiritual maturity, on two souls who have learned to stand whole before standing together. That's why the reunion didn't happen sooner. If it had, it would have collapsed under the same weaknesses that once tore it apart. But now something has shifted. The wounds that once screamed are becoming scars that testify. The heart that once demanded is learning to surrender. And in that surrender, divine timing begins to unfold. You see, God's timing isn't punishment for your impatience. It's protection for your purpose. He waits until the fruit is ripe, not because He forgot you, but because He refuses to give you something that isn't ready to last. And the same God who separated you for a season is the one aligning you for a lifetime. What once felt like delay was God saying, "Let me finish what I started in you before I trust you with what I promised." So, instead of asking, "Why did you take them from me?" ask, "What are you teaching me while I wait?" Because this in between isn't empty. It's holy ground. You are being molded in ways that love's comfort never could. Every day apart is a quiet act of divine strategy. And soon you'll look back and see that the separation wasn't the death of the connection. It was its resurrection. In the next chapter, we'll step beyond what's visible and uncover what happens in the unseen, the warfare, the resistance, and the invisible battle that's been fought over your union since the day it was written in heaven. When God writes a story meant to shake generations, hell always notices. The moment a divine connection is sealed in the spirit, resistance awakens in the unseen. It's subtle at first, misunderstandings that appear from nowhere, silence that feels louder than any argument, emotions that twist truth into confusion. These are not coincidences. They are tactical distractions designed to make you doubt what heaven already confirmed. The enemy doesn't waste energy on what's ordinary. He fights what carries destiny. And that is why this connection has faced such heavy storms. Every spiritual covenant attracts spiritual warfare. You might not see it, but you felt it. The sudden fatigue, the emotional roller coaster, the intrusive thoughts that tell you to walk away. Those are not random fluctuations of mood. They are attempts to break the line of communication between you and heaven. The enemy knows he cannot undo what God ordained, so he aims to exhaust your faith until you abandon it yourself. But here is what he always underestimates: a chosen one who prays. Because every whispered prayer becomes a sword. Every time you intercede for that person, even when they seem far away, your words move through the spiritual atmosphere like light piercing fog. Heaven records every syllable. When you pray, you are not begging, you are legislating. You are giving heaven legal permission to intervene in the natural realm. That's why your prayers have been resisted so fiercely. The enemy's strategy is not to destroy you instantly, it's to erode your persistence slowly. He whispers that nothing is changing, that you're wasting time, that silence equals abandonment. But silence is never the absence of movement. It's the disguise of divine strategy. God is working on details you cannot yet perceive, shifting circumstances, preparing hearts, synchronizing timelines. This is not just about love, it's about lineage. What you are fighting for has ripple effects beyond your lifetime. That's why spiritual warfare often targets your peace, your sleep, your clarity. Because if you lose alignment, you lose authority. You were chosen not to fight with your flesh, but to war with your worship. Every time you choose prayer over panic, praise over complaint, blessing over bitterness, you win a battle unseen by human eyes. Guard your words carefully in this season. Your tongue can either reinforce heaven's decree or echo hell's lies. Don't curse what God is still constructing. Speak life, speak promise, speak completion. When your emotions want to rage, choose reverence. When you want to react, choose restraint. This is how warriors of the Spirit fight, not by force, but by faith that refuses to die. So when the nights stretch long and the silence feels heavy, remember this truth. If the battle feels intense, it's because victory is near. You're not losing ground, you're gaining refinement. The unseen war is proof that your union carries weight in eternity. Keep your armor on. Prayer, patience, purity, and praise. The moment you decide to stop fighting with fear and start fighting with faith, the atmosphere around you begins to shift. Before God restores what was once lost, He restores you. Before the promise returns, the heart that must hold it must be remade. Most people pray for reunion, but few prepare for it. Heaven's miracles are never wasted on unready vessels. You cannot pour divine wine into cracked jars. It will spill under pressure. That's why this season of solitude, this waiting, this stretching is sacred. It's not punishment, it's purification. God is forming within you the emotional strength and spiritual maturity necessary to hold what He's bringing back. Be honest. There were times when your love was driven by fear. Fear of losing. Fear of not being chosen. Fear of being forgotten. There were moments when your heart gave too much or guarded too tightly, when you mistook intensity for connection or silence for rejection. But through this season, God has been teaching you the rhythm of divine love, patient, balanced, stable, anchored in faith rather than control. He's teaching you to discern between attachment and alignment, because what's coming next requires both tenderness and wisdom. Preparing the vessel means healing wounds that never received proper closure. It means forgiving the past, not because it deserved it, but because your peace does. It means releasing the version of you who begged for validation and embracing the one who already knows their worth. When God restores relationships, He doesn't recycle your old habits. He resurrects your soul. He strips away impatience, jealousy, comparison, and the fear of abandonment, replacing them with gentleness, confidence, and trust. That's why this stage feels heavy. You're shedding identities that cannot enter the next chapter. But preparation isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. God is tuning your frequency to love as He loves, unconditionally, without manipulation or demand. You're learning to serve without losing yourself, to listen without absorbing pain, to lead with peace instead of pride. Every day you choose to bless rather than complain, you strengthen your vessel. Every time you pray instead of panic, you reinforce its walls. And each act of faith, no matter how small, enlarges your capacity to receive divine partnership. So when the day comes, and it will come, that person will not return to the same version of you they once knew. They will meet someone refined by heaven, someone who can nurture love without depending on it for survival. That's when the reunion shifts from emotional reconciliation to spiritual covenant, the kind of bond that mirrors heaven's own faithfulness. Chosen one, God is not making you wait to torture you. He's teaching you how to hold sacred things without dropping them. What's coming will not be fragile love that breaks under pressure. It will be holy partnership that endures through storms. But only vessels that have been tested in fire can contain such light. Every divine story has a moment when heaven breathes, and what once seemed impossible suddenly unfolds with perfect precision. You cannot calculate this hour because it is not born of calendars or clocks. It's born of readiness. The appointed hour is not when you want it to happen. It's when both hearts have been prepared to hold it. The moment heaven sees that the lessons have taken root, that pride has melted, that fear no longer dictates choices, that is when the orchestration begins. Imagine this. You're living an ordinary day. Nothing feels unusual. The same streets, the same routine, the same silence. But in the invisible, threads are tightening. People are being moved like pieces on a celestial chessboard. A schedule shifts here, a random invitation there, a delayed flight, a change of plan, all aligning two paths that haven't crossed in years. That's how heaven works, subtle, strategic, perfect. You'll think it's chance, but your spirit will whisper, no. This was written. When the appointed hour comes, it doesn't rush. It flows. You won't have to manipulate outcomes or force timing. Conversations will unfold like déjà vu, natural yet divinely scripted. The tension that once divided you will dissolve into understanding. Words will feel lighter, smiles deeper, silence safer. You'll sense the Holy Spirit filling the space between you like air charged with peace. It's not fantasy. It's the reality of divine timing doing what human effort never could. But understand this truth. The appointed hour was never just about reunion. It's about redemption. God doesn't merely give back what was lost. He transforms it into something stronger, wiser, more sacred. What returns is not what left, it's what was resurrected. You've both been rewritten by waiting. You've been shaped in solitude, molded through surrender. The person returning to you will not be the same, and neither will you. The love that once trembled under pressure will now stand unshakable because it has been baptized in fire. Divine orchestration is meticulous. God doesn't just align hearts, He aligns environments. He ensures that every outer detail mirrors the inner transformation. The place where you meet may seem ordinary, but it will hold eternal significance. The words exchanged may sound simple, but they'll carry prophetic weight. You'll know because the atmosphere itself will testify. Peace will drape the moment like a mantle. You'll feel heaven watching, not from afar, but from within the space you occupy. This appointed hour also carries a test, not of patience this time, but of presence. When it comes, will you recognize it, or will fear make you hesitate? God will not send the miracle until you've learned to receive without doubting. Many people miss their divine moment because they're still wearing the armor built during the waiting season. When the blessing arrives, they don't recognize it because they're still expecting pain. So when the door opens, walk through it without suspicion. Let go of the urge to analyze and simply trust the peace you feel. Remember, the same hand that separated you is the hand that now reunites you. And when God moves, there is no confusion. Everything begins to harmonize. Timing, emotion, purpose, faith. The conversations that once ended in misunderstanding will now end in prayer. The memories that once stung will become gentle proof that healing is complete. You won't need to ask, are they changed? Their energy will tell you. Their presence will feel like home, not because it's familiar, but because it's divinely assigned. And when that hour comes, and it will, the realization will strike. All the waiting, all the tears, all the lonely nights were building to this alignment. The delay wasn't punishment. It was the incubation of destiny. The same God who held back what you wanted was preserving what you needed. Every moment of doubt was preparing your faith to stand firm in the face of fulfillment. You'll look into their eyes and feel peace instead of panic, gratitude instead of longing, completion instead of craving, and deep within your spirit, you'll hear God's whisper, "This is what I was building all along." That moment won't just be the reunion of two souls. It will be the manifestation of every unseen prayer, every silent battle, every night of faith that refused to die. But even then, the story won't end. The reunion will not be a finish line. It will be a beginning. A covenant birthed in divine timing is not meant for private comfort alone. It carries purpose, a mission that extends far beyond the two of you. Together, you'll reflect what love looks like when it's anchored in heaven. Your union will become a living testimony that divine timing never fails and that waiting on God is never wasted time. So, chosen one, hold steady. Keep your lamp burning, keep your faith alive. Because when the appointed hour arrives, it will come not as a whisper but as a wave. It will sweep through your life and leave nothing untouched. What once felt broken will shine again, not because it was repaired, but because it was reborn. And as that moment approaches, one truth will anchor you above all. What God ordains cannot be delayed forever. The hour is approaching, the alignment is near, and when it arrives, you will know it not by thunder or lightning, but by peace so profound it silences every doubt you've ever had. Before any divine promise manifests, the chosen are always led through a sacred furnace, a season where faith is stripped of illusion and transformed into something indestructible. This is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the final refinement, the moment when your spirit is purified to carry the weight of what you have prayed for. Every soul destined for something extraordinary must pass through this invisible fire. It arrives disguised as silence, loss, or confusion, a spiritual pressure that burns away all that is fragile or false. You may feel abandoned, forgotten, or overlooked, but what's truly happening is holy transformation. God is not testing you to expose your weakness. He is refining you to reveal your essence. You will know this phase has begun because the outer world starts to fall apart exactly where you once felt most secure. Things that used to define you begin to dissolve. Friendships fade. Opportunities vanish. You question your worth, your purpose, your calling. It feels like everything is being taken. But in truth, you are being emptied to be filled with something higher. This is the mystery of the refining fire. It destroys nothing that is true, only what no longer serves your destiny. When the ancient prophets spoke of fire, they never meant destruction alone. They spoke of purity, illumination, and rebirth. Gold cannot become radiant without heat. Diamonds cannot emerge without pressure. And the spirit cannot ascend without surrender. So, when the heat of this season intensifies, do not mistake it for rejection. It is divine precision. The flames that surround you are not meant to consume you. They are meant to clarify your reflection. You see, chosen one, God cannot send a heart still chained to its wounds into a covenant meant to heal nations. He cannot entrust divine purpose to someone who still doubts their own light. That is why this last stretch feels heavier than all the others combined. You are not being punished, you are being promoted. The enemy tries to convince you that the silence means absence, but heaven is closer now than it has ever been. You may look around and see nothing moving, but within you, everything is shifting. Faith is no longer an idea, it is becoming your oxygen. Where you once prayed out of desperation, now you pray out of surrender. Where you once asked for signs, now you are the sign. This is the sacred evolution of trust, when belief transforms from words into being. During this refinement, even time behaves differently. Days stretch longer, nights feel endless. You may feel caught between two worlds, too awake for the old, but not yet anchored in the new. It's the in-between where the alchemy happens. You are being recalibrated to hold frequencies of peace that cannot be shaken, love that cannot be lost, and purpose that cannot be stolen. This process strips away every counterfeit attachment until only truth remains. There will be moments when tears become your only prayer. When all you can do is whisper, "Still, I trust you." And in that whisper, heaven moves. Because true faith is not proven in comfort, it's proven in surrender. The kind of faith that changes timelines is not loud or dramatic. It's the quiet endurance that refuses to let go even when nothing makes sense. Understand this. What's happening to you right now isn't random. It's sacred synchronization. God is aligning your inner vibration with your outer calling. He is removing anything that could distort your light, because what's about to be entrusted to you carries eternal consequence. You are being refined not for comfort, but for kingdom impact. And this is the paradox of divine preparation. The closer you get to the promise, the hotter the fire burns. Because just before manifestation, heaven ensures that no residue of doubt or fear remains. You may feel emptied, but that emptiness is space being made for glory. You may feel silence, but that silence is heaven holding its breath before the unveiling. Chosen one, you are standing in the holy furnace where the human self dissolves and the divine self emerges. Do not fight it. Let the fire do its work. Let it burn through hesitation, through guilt, through the weight of everything you thought you had to be. When the smoke clears, you will recognize yourself not by what you have achieved, but by what you have become. Resilient, radiant, ready. And then, when the refinement is complete, something shifts. The fire that once consumed now begins to illuminate. The pain that once broke you begins to bless you. You realize that everything was preparation. Every loss, every silence, every delay was God's way of sculpting strength within your soul. What once felt like endings were actually initiations. The waiting was never wasted. The pain was never pointless. The fire was never your enemy. It was your anointing, because only those who have walked through the flame can carry the light without fear of burning. Only those who have been refined can recognize divine timing when it arrives. And only those who have been broken in private can handle restoration in public. Now the refining is almost complete. The air around you feels different because the season is shifting. The atmosphere is changing. Heaven is preparing to reveal what the fire has produced. Everything you have endured, every delay, every sleepless night questioning God's timing, every tear that fell without understanding, it has all led to this. The reunion. Not just of two souls, but of two divine paths, finally merging into one purpose. When heaven writes a connection, it is never merely romantic, it is prophetic. It is a mirror through which both souls see their reflection more clearly. This reunion isn't simply about love. It's about alignment, about the moment when all the refining, all the healing, all the surrender finally meets divine timing. You will know it's happening not through fireworks, but through peace. Not through adrenaline, but through recognition. There will be no chaos this time, no chasing, no guessing, no proving. Just quiet certainty. It will feel like breathing after years of holding your breath. God never reunites two souls prematurely. He waits until the storm within both hearts has settled, until both can recognize each other through spiritual eyes, not emotional desperation. And when that moment comes, it will not require explanation. One look, one word, one shared silence, and you'll both know what you thought was the end was only intermission. Heaven paused the story so that the characters could grow, and now when you meet again, it won't be a return to what was. It will be the birth of what was always meant to be. The air will feel different. Even time will slow. There will be a sacred weight in the atmosphere, the kind that makes you realize God himself has entered the room. You'll remember every reason you loved them, but this time, without the pain. You'll see the same eyes, but they'll reflect a soul transformed. You'll recognize the same heart, but purified, softer, stronger, ready, and you will understand why it all had to happen exactly the way it did. Why the distance was necessary. Why the waiting was holy. Why the heartbreak was sacred. Because through it all, heaven was sculpting something that could not be broken again. In this reunion, God will restore not just love, but purpose. This union will not be built on fantasy, but on faith. It will not revolve around need, but around divine assignment. Together, you will carry light that transforms others, not because you're perfect, but because you've been refined. You'll pray together differently. You'll dream together with clarity. You'll speak words that heal instead of wound. You'll love not from fear of loss, but from abundance of peace. The relationship won't complete you. It will multiply you. And even the heavens will celebrate, because every divine union carries ripple effects that extend far beyond two individuals. When two chosen souls reunite in alignment with God's timing, entire generations feel the impact. Healing flows through families. Blessings overflow into every area touched by their light. This is why the battle was so intense. This is why the enemy tried to break you both before you could meet again. Because once the two of you unite, darkness loses ground. The energy you carry together cannot be counterfeited. It cannot be duplicated. It can only be divinely ordained. And when it finally happens, you will stand in awe, whispering through tears of gratitude, "Now I understand." The waiting won't matter. The silence won't sting. The pain will fade like mist under the morning sun. You'll realize that every unanswered prayer was, in truth, a perfectly answered one, just not in your timing. But in his, this is the divine completion, the moment the circle closes, the chapter the heavens have been writing since before your birth. You didn't imagine it. You didn't fabricate it. You felt it because it was real, because it was written. So, chosen one, take a deep breath. You are standing at the edge of fulfillment. The story that once felt suspended in time is about to move again. The reunion is not a distant hope. It is the next heartbeat. Chosen one, take a deep breath. Feel it, the stillness that follows the storm, the quiet after the refining fire. You have come so far. You have faced silence, uncertainty, heartbreak, and the ache of waiting. Yet here you stand, not broken but reborn. Every tear has watered the soil of your transformation. Every delay, every detour, every sleepless night was heaven preparing you for this very moment. You are not waiting anymore. You are stepping into fulfillment. The circle that began long ago is closing in divine precision. The reunion, the restoration, the revelation, it's all converging into a single point of destiny, and that point is now. You see, God never wastes pain. What you thought was rejection was protection. What you saw as endings were divine redirections. Every unanswered prayer was a seed buried deep, waiting for the right season to bloom. And now the season has come. The alignment has begun. The purpose behind every trial is about to reveal itself in ways that will leave you in awe. This reunion, this divine convergence, is more than two hearts finding each other again. It is heaven meeting earth through you. It is faith made flesh. It is the visible manifestation of what you chose to believe in silence.
Because you refused to give up when logic said it was over.
Because you prayed when your voice trembled. Because you believed even when your eyes saw no proof. God is rewarding your faith. You will soon witness how everything aligns with breathtaking grace. The person you thought you lost will recognize your soul again. Not the version that once was, but the one that emerged from the fire stronger, wiser, whole. Conversations will flow with supernatural ease. Every misunderstanding will dissolve in truth. Love will feel effortless, not because it is perfect, but because it is divinely timed. And as you stand there, realizing the promise has arrived, your heart will understand. It was never just about the reunion. It was about becoming who you were meant to be before the reunion could happen. You had to grow into the frequency of your own answered prayer, and now you finally have. But even this isn't the end, it's the beginning. What God is awakening in you will continue to expand far beyond this love story. The light you carry will ripple through everything you touch. It will awaken others. It will inspire faith where there was none. It will restore hope to those who thought their time had passed. This, chosen one, is your destiny, not merely to receive miracles, but to become one. So now, before we close, do something simple yet powerful. If this message resonated deeply with your spirit, if you felt those chills that whisper, "This is for me," then take a moment and comment 99 below. That number isn't random. It's the frequency of completion and divine confirmation. When you write it, you are declaring to the universe, "I am ready. I am aligned. I receive what is already mine." And if you haven't yet, subscribe now. Stay connected, because what comes next will take you even deeper into this awakening. We'll uncover what happens after the reunion, when the two chosen souls begin to walk in their shared divine mission. That revelation will show you the real reason heaven brought you here at this exact time. Until then, remember this: you are not behind, you are not forgotten, and you are not waiting in vain. Everything is unfolding in perfect rhythm. The story is still being written, and the next chapter will be even more extraordinary than the last. Thank you for being here, for walking this path with faith and an open heart. Until we meet again in the next message, stay in your light, keep your heart open, and never forget, the promise is alive within you. This is your time. This is your return, and heaven is already celebrating you.